One of my favorite cameras to come out in the past year is this guy right here, the Canon C50. This thing is a mini cinema camera beast. It shoots open gate 7K and also just has a ton of incredible features and really is the main FX3 competitor. It's got mounting points on the top and the side, which are really useful, and I've mounted this thing to cars and on suction cups and all over the place, so that's been really useful. And then it has some robust fans, so no matter what you're shooting in, this thing will never overheat, which obviously is excellent. So the C50 is currently acting as the B and C cam, which I have one over here, to a feature documentary that I'm shooting right now where the C400 is an A cam. So the whole film is being shot in open gate 3x2, and all three of those cameras can do it, which is really useful. Oftentimes I have this camera stripped down to be on a gimbal or to use in car rigs or on suction cups and in all sorts of different situations. So it's nice that it can be so small and so compact. But sometimes you want to rig out your Canon C50 or any small cinema camera into a larger cinema rig. And so that's what we're going to do today, go through some accessories for the C50 which make it really, really useful, and then also a brand new monitor that just might be my favorite monitor ever made. And there are quite a few reasons why that is. So we'll dig into that a little later in this video, but let's go through and rig out our Canon C50. So as I mentioned, the Canon C50 already has a really nice form factor, already has 4 mounting points on the camera itself, but sometimes it's still nice to add a cage to your camera. And there are 2 that I have that I really like, and one that I have chosen as my primary cage. But the first one, which I have used and enjoy, is this right here. This is the Smallrig cage for the Canon C50. And the one things I really like about it is that it does have this side strap. And so if you are building out your rig to be a little heavier, it's nice to have that side strap on your camera cage. And it's a full cage, but leaves the top clear because that is where Canon's excellent top handle goes. And so you don't want to cover up the top of the camera here, which a lot of normal cages do on mirrorless cameras. Now, the one thing I don't love about the Smallrig cage is that you can't actually make it any smaller than it is. And so I'm not someone who likes having a cage on this side of the camera. I never mount anything over there. And yes, it's nice to have a strap sometimes, but I would rather have less material and less weight on my camera, and frankly not sort of ruin the grip that Canon already has made pretty darn nicely. I opted to put aside the Smallrig cage and use this cage, which is on the camera now, from Tilta. And the main reason is because it can be broken down into a half cage. And so you just have a plate on the side and on the bottom, which allows you to have a lot more mounting points. Again, Canon probably should have put 2 screw holes down here to make a tripod plate even more secure, but they didn't. But Tilta has rectified that and have obviously a lot of different places where you can mount a tripod plate. But this is also an CoreSWX, so you can slide this right onto a DJI RS4 or the new RS5, or even on some tripod plates if you have your tripod heads set up for CoreSWX. And then just has that side, again, more mounting points, and then one cold shoe up top. And frankly, that's one of the main reasons I use cages, is just to get an extra cold shoe somewhere on the body. It just attaches with a screw where the tripod plate goes on the bottom of the C50. And then because the C50 has so many other places to mount things, you have another screw right here, making this thing super rigid, super secure. It's not going anywhere. One of the things I love about the Canon C50 is the top handle they made for this thing. It is really nice, very comfortable. Frankly, is nicer than the C400s, the C300 before it. It might just be the best top handle they've ever made. And it has 2 mounting points that go directly on the camera. You just slide it into the hot shoe on the top of the camera. It also has all of your audio controls on the side, as well as a zoom rocker button, which is awesome because I've been doing a lot of power zooming with this camera in the C400, and a record and lock button. So really, really nice top handle, but we did make a few small modifications to this top handle to make it even more usable. The first is just adding this little handle extender, and this is from the Smallrig cage. I think the Tilta cage also comes with it, so you could use either one. Again, it has 2 mounting points, so that thing is on there real nice. A few more /20s where you can screw things in, and then 1 more cold shoe. Often when I'm shooting, I will have a Deity or Tentacle Sync timecode box on one of these 2 cold shoes, usually the one on the side, because I like to keep my top handle as clear as possible for when I'm grabbing it. But if I need to put anything else on the camera, whether that's, the audio guy sending audio to my actual camera, then I can mount it there. So gives me enough mounting points to actually put everything I need when I'm in an actual film environment. One of my favorite accessory makers out there right now is Mid49. They make things that really nobody else is making, which is really cool. If you want something for your camera and you're like, man, I wish this type of piece existed, check out Mid49 because there might be a small chance that that piece actually is being made by them. And one of those is adding a 15mm rod to this top handle somewhere. And because there aren't really any places up front, like there's no 1/4-20s here, no mounting points, there's really no way to screw it on. But the microphone holder actually does have 2 screws on the actual handle itself. That's where it screws in. And so Mid49 did the very smart thing of basically just taking that real estate and putting their own little screw on that then comes down, and it has a little hole here for a 15mm rod. And then you can still go ahead and mount the microphone in its normal position. They just obviously put receivers on their own device right here. And so it doesn't really take up any space at all, adds almost no weight, but then gives you that 15mm rod. Now on my Canon C70 and C300, when I had that camera, I set everything up on the top handle to actually use those 15mm rods because I just did not like the hingy thing that came with the C400 or the C300. So that means I have quite a few accessories that all attach via 15mm rod. And so it's really nice to have that there because then you can just slide in your rod straight in. And then you can just kind of position it wherever you want. If you want to take this microphone out and offset a microphone mount over here, you could. That is where I'm going to mount my monitor. There's a ton of monitor mounts out there that have 15mm rods. I have this very simple 15mm to cold shoe adapter, and then just a normal monitor mount, cold shoe monitor mount that slides in there. So now you have a really nice place to put other accessories, or in my case, a monitor. And you could put a monitor right here on this cold shoe, but the problem is unless you move the microphone shock mount, then there's not enough space to actually put a monitor there. And so that's why I like to offset my monitor. Now, onto the main event. The one disappointment with the C50, especially since the Nikon ZR came out, is the back screen is still sort of the same 3-inch screen that we see on mirrorless cameras for a decade at this point. And it's really disappointing that Canon didn't put a nicer monitor on the back of this camera. But what that means is oftentimes you might need an external monitor. And I just found out about this brand new monitor from Desview. It's called the Blade Pro. And it's a 5-inch monitor, and it might be the 5-inch monitor I've been looking for a long, long time. I have never, for the life of me, understood why there are so many manufacturers of monitors and yet they can't make something that is as slim and as compact and as lightweight as a simple iPhone, which is basically a supercomputer in your pocket. All you gotta do is transmit an image, and still these things are thick and are just pumping fans. So it's always been bizarre to me, and the new SmallHD 5-inch monitors I think are just ungodly in terms of their size and weight. And this monitor is potentially the antidote to all of that. I really like Portkeys monitors and I like Viltrox monitors, which I've reviewed on this channel, but I could not pass up the Blade 5 Pro because of how small and how lightweight it is and just how minimalist it is on a small camera like the Canon C50. So a couple more things about this monitor. Besides being small, compact, and lightweight and really seamless to add to a small rig, it is 1200 nits, which in my opinion is just bright enough. It would be nice to get to 1500 nits. But the really nice thing about this monitor is that it's an OLED display. And so it's actually pretty amazing that they got an OLED display to be 1200 nits. So obviously hard to tell here on YouTube with YouTube compression and filming with 2 different cameras, but the screen is really, really nice. It's really sharp, really detailed, and it's frankly bright enough. It's definitely brighter than the screen that comes with the C50, which is a big plus, but just because it's so much larger, it's definitely easier to see. I know a lot of people care about the different functionalities of monitors, but frankly, cameras these days are putting in almost every feature I need for monitoring. So as long as the camera can do it and send it via HDMI, I'm really not too worried about it. It has peaking, it has anamorphic D-squeeze, it has all the different false colors and waveforms and RGB parades, and everything you might need is in this monitor. Frankly, I set it up so that as long as the image transmits to it and I can see my peaking correctly, then I'm happy. So for me, the most important things are size, weight, mountability, and screen quality. And in that way, this Desview Blade 5 Pro does not disappoint. I highly recommend this monitor, especially for smaller camera rigs like the C50, FX3, ZR, Panasonic S12, or any other mirrorless camera. One other nice thing about the monitor is that they say it only draws about 9 watts of power, but we'll just round up to 10 watts. And so even this small Sony NPF battery that's on the back here is 47 watts, so I'll be getting almost 5 hours on this battery alone. So just 2 of these small ones will get me through a full day on this monitor. So often I'll use a 98 watt, but if I want to make sure that I will have battery power all day long, then I will use a 150 watt. Here's one from CoreSWX. And again, USB-C cable straight to the power delivery of the C50, and that powers me all day long. But if I have a monitor on top like this, and maybe I don't want to bring NPF batteries and just want to power the whole rig off, one of these for the entire day, then this little contraption right here becomes very useful. And this is from Smallrig. And again, it has a Arca Swiss receiver and then a V-mount plate on the bottom. And it's very minimalist. And again, I don't like to put rails and stuff on my rigs. I like to keep them clean, I like to keep them small. And so this is really useful for that purpose because all of our cages have that same attachment. It just slides right in, ta-da, lock it down, and then boom, suddenly you have a very small and very compact cinema rig with a V-mount system, and that V-mount will probably power the camera and the monitor for a good amount of time, if not a full day, pretty darn close to it. And then all you would need to power both of these items is to have a D-tap to DC in to power the monitor, and then the USB-C cable to USB-C cable to power the camera. So there you go, that's my compact cinema rig for the Canon C50, but all of this would work on pretty much any mirrorless or small cinema camera. Also, having the battery on the back here does give you another point of contact if you wanted to push that into your chest, making for even more stable images.